designer Doug Chang. We'll look at your reactions to the new Rogue One trailer and much, much more. Now, from the Lucasfilm headquarters, it's the Star Wars Show.
Hello, I'm Peter Townley.
And I'm Andi Gutierrez. Welcome to the Star Wars Show.
Oh, hey, I had a question I wanted to ask you.
Is it about Star Wars news?
No.
Then it's gotta wait. Let's go to the news.
Last week, we had the pleasure of debuting the new one sheet for Rogue One alongside director Gareth Edwards.
And while Gareth is understandably too busy to join us today, we do have some more Rogue One posters to show you. 8, in fact.
The character posters feature individual close-ups of Jyn Erso, Cassian Andor, K2SO, Bodhi Rook, Baze Malbus, Chirrut Imwe, director Orson Krennic, and Saw Gerrera, each with sections of schematics projected onto their faces.
And you can see them all right now to pick apart each and every square inch on StarWars.com. In video game news, PlayStation VR was released last week, which means we are even closer to the release of the free DLC for Star Wars Battlefront Rogue One X-Wing VR Mission, or SWBro XW Verm for short.
Swolbro XWVRM. Yeah, that's just kind of rolls along.
It's catchy.
Which, thanks to the new key art, confirms that we're going to be seeing a U-Wing flying alongside X-Wings during a hair-raising space battle.
Rogue One X-Wing VR Mission will be available this holiday season.
Finally, a few months back, we announced the Star Wars The Force Awakens 3D Collector's Edition Blu-ray was coming to store shelves on November 15th.
And wouldn't you know it, the Star Wars Show managed to get our hands on this exclusive, never-before-seen clip from the newly recorded commentary by director J.J. Abrams. Would you like to watch it? I'm going to assume yes, since this is pre-recorded and it's literally impossible for me to hear or see a response on the other side of this camera. So without further ado, enjoy.
In this scene, she is drawn to this place, almost like Cinderella, and she goes to this box, which, when she opens, she discovers something that, of course, has no meaning to her. She's never seen this before, doesn't know what it is, but has meaning to the audience. Touching the lightsaber triggers what we called the force back. There were many iterations of this. In one, from this Cloud City corridor, she looked down and saw Vader fighting Luke, which we ended up cutting. We wanted it to be a more personal story, something that she couldn't comprehend, that was overwhelming to her, frightening to her, that was taking her through all these elemental experiences of fire, of rain, snow, wind, but also that she was being confronted with truths about the Force, about the past, the Knights of Ren here, the past for herself. She realizes the cries she heard were actually her own cries as a young girl being taken away from her family. And then she hears a voice, Rey, and that's Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Hey guys, today we have a special treat for you. I am joined by Rogue One production designer, The Force Awakens concept artist, and ILM legend, Doug Chang. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's a pleasure to be here.
You've been with ILM since, what, 1989?
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about how you came to be with ILM?
Yeah, it's interesting because, of course, when I saw Star Wars when I was 15 years old, that completely transformed my career directive. And so I was always trying to make my way towards ILM. And when I finally got the opportunity to come up here in '89, it was for a short 3-week project. And it was one of those things where I had no idea if there was any future, but I was down in Los Angeles at that time, just freelancing. And I thought, okay, this is my chance. I packed everything up, moved up on the risk that the 3 weeks would turn into something bigger. And that 3 week turned into a 13-year career.
What would you say is your favorite thing to design?
To be honest, it's creating the worlds. I love sort of creating fantastic environments, and it goes to why I think Ralph's a genius. Working at the ranch for 7 years, I had a chance to look at all of his artwork, and there were some real jewels in his black and white pencil sketches. They were really simple, but there was a romance to it that kind of made me feel like, well, that's an image I want to see in a movie. His sensibility was so in sync with George in terms of his form language, in terms of how he designed. And for me, what distinguished Ralph from other film designers is that his images were almost always cinematic. I mean, he was composing to the screen. And it's a very unique thing because, you know, a lot of times designers like myself, we tend to sort of obsess about details, you know, getting like, okay, here's this cool spaceship, without thinking about the big picture of how it fits into the frame. Ralph was doing all of that. And so when I always get stuck now, I always go back and look at how Ralph would handle things. And so my lessons that I learned from Ralph was really to design in a cinematic space, design it from a camera's point of view. And it's really important for a film like Star Wars to design to reality, because ultimately that's how the audience is going to experience it. And so we can't get into the details, the nitty-gritty details of, okay, well, what color is that? You know, what shape is that? Because at the end, all those details only augment. The foundation of design has to work.
You worked really closely on the prequels, and now you're working on Rogue One, which is completely different, but it also has to feel very similar.
Yeah.
What's it like working with, you know, those principles?
It's one of the really fun challenges of working on Rogue One with Gareth. Because, I mean, for instance, the U-Wing, it's our new iconic spaceship.
Yeah.
We set a pretty high bar. I mean, Gareth said, you know, okay, let's make our most iconic spaceship. Let's see if we can kind of create something that's as memorable as the Millennium Falcon or the X-Wing. And when you think about it, I mean, those are, in my view, perfect designs. Yeah. And so we ended up chasing the U-Wing for months and months. Recently, I went back and, you know, I was collecting all of the artwork, and I discovered that we did 781 individual designs for the U-Wing.
Before you settled on what?
Yes.
Wow.
No, and that spoke to Garrett's thoroughness. I mean, he really wanted to make sure that we were explored all the options, and that this was the best version of that.
So you've also been working closely with Amy Hennig on their new project for Visceral. Can you tell me a little bit about that process, what that's like?
I love working with Amy. I find, you know, her ideas and her visions are very similar to George in some ways. You know, she's thinking very big scope. And on top of that, she's tying it to a really strong story and with really strong characters. We're figuring out immersive worlds. We're really figuring out to sort of such a level that, you know, the audience or the player can actually experience, you know, what's around that corner, what's behind that room. And that's where it's really fun, because we now get to figure out all the different spaces. And for me, it's like being a kid again, going out in the back of the woods and exploring.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for coming and talking about your career and about Rogue. It's really enlightening and super, super inspiring. And stick around, there will be more Star Wars Show in just a moment.
Rebellions are built on hope.
I have tingles already.
Yes.
We have hope.
Saw Gerrera!
Rebellions are built on hope.
Yeah, it is.
Oh my God. We've no idea we're coming.
Take hold of this moment. The force is strong. Make 10 men feel like 100.
We'll take the next chance.
Yes.
You're rebels, aren't you?
I could listen to Doug talk about Star Wars art all day.
Dude, and you'd learn so much.
Yeah.
He is awesome. And with all that talk about Doug's designs, we want to know what your favorite concept art from Star Wars is. For me, it's either Doug's concept from Jakku with the tail end of the Star Destroyer and the speeder going away, or Ralph's concept of Luke standing on the plateau overlooking Mos Eisley.
Yeah, I love the McQuarrie art where the environments are really big and the people are really small, like Luke hanging from the weather vane in Bespin as the Falcon approaches.
It's a good one, too.
Now, you can share your favorite concept art and tell us why using the hashtag Star Wars Concept Art, and we'll feature some of your picks here next week.
And as always, be sure to check out the Star Wars After Show presented by Verizon, where I, along with a panel of Lucasfilm employees and Star Wars superfans, break down all the happenings in this week's episode of the Star Wars Show.
Watch it this Thursday and every Thursday on youtube.com/Verizon. And it's been a while since I've done this, so I'm gonna see if I can still do it all in one breath. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Vine, and Google+, like us on Facebook, and download the Star Wars app.
Thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.
So can I ask you that question now?
Yeah, shoot.
What is the deal with you and...